Hi, everybody. I'm Jeremy from the Old Men Rolling Dice podcast. My co-host, DM Aphi from the
Hello.
Boctaire Twitch channel, and we have sort of a star-studded cast for you tonight. Can't wait to get this show started. Uh, it's been a long time coming. We weren't here. Was it 2 weeks ago? We missed our show,
Yeah,
so it feels like it's been a while. People were away, and yeah, we just
I
couldn't
was
get.
in California.
You were in California. I'm actually surprised there's not more of a tan.
I don't tan. I burn and then I'm white again. Like there's
Well,
there's no tanning.
fair enough. Fair enough. So tonight with us we have Andrew Kaywood, we have Todd Stashwick, we have Brendan LaSalle. Did I say that right, Brendan? Brendan LaSalle
at your service.
There we go. There we go. So we'll run through our guests very quickly, and then we're gonna throw them into prepping their one shot. We'll start with Andrew. Andrew. So I'm gonna give you what I know about Andrew and why he's here. So Andrew writes these monster books, which are pretty fantastic.
So cool.
If you've been on the DM Jeremy Twitch channel, we recently did a Feyland adventure where we pulled heavily on Andrew's book. Creatures like the Greater Basilisk, the Forget Frogs, which are a personal favorite of mine,
Those
and of course the flora of Phelan. There's all kinds of plants and stuff that you can interact with, and I believe we're kickstarting Phelan 2, right?
That is correct. Yes, right now,
As we speak.
Yes.
Phelan 2. Do you want to tell us how you sort of got into doing those books, Andrew?
Sure. Yeah. So as we were just talking about off air there, I took a long break from the game, came back, and the first group I was playing with said, you really should publish some of this stuff that's in our campaign. And I thought, yeah, okay, I'll try it out. And so for the last 6 years, we started making Dungeon Master handbooks. And eventually we came up with this series of monster books. And we teamed up with this amazing artist from California. And we have something that's a bit more, the art is more comic style. There's a lot of humor. There's a lot of fun. We don't just glorify the villain like a lot of the modern D&D. We actually are interested in the heroic adventure as well. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of good monsters as well. And yeah, we're kickstarting the 5th book in the series right now, A Return to Pheland. So yeah, it's been a pretty fun 6 years.
You're right. Like when we went through the Phelan book for my campaign, there was as many sort of good guys that the players could meet as there were bad guys.
Exactly.
Yeah. Really like them. them. Check them out. We'll try to get, I don't know that we'll try to get a link up for Andrew's Kickstarter. You can always go though and check Andrew's page out on Instagram. It's under Kaywood Publishing, right?
That's right. Yeah.
That's right. Or you can go to Old Men Rolling Dice. We post all kinds of stuff from Kaywood Publishing, and you can track them down that way for sure. Next on our guest list is Brendan LaSalle, who is a writer for Goodman Games, this very channel. And we were just talking to Brendan before we came on because Aphi and I are sort of just learning how to play DCC, and we ran through Brendan's Hole in the Sky and the Vicious Pumpkin Monster.
The Vicious Pumpkin Monster.
Can you tell us? Can you give me some insight on like where that pumpkin monster came from? Because it drove my party crazy. Drove them crazy.
Oh man, it was so scary too. Like you start getting like, oh my god, I can't stand close to the walls because this thing is gonna like come through the wall and like eat me, and I've only got like 4 hit points.
It's a combination of a lot of things, but in the first iteration of it, the Guardian was a tree that was hung with jack-o'-lanterns. And then the more I played around with it, the more it became, well, what if it was just one great big giant jack-o'-lantern? Because I really wanted it to grab someone with its tendrils and throw it inside its face and have them catch on fire.
Which is literally what happens. But literally what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the origin of that one. That was, I thought it was a fun way to sort of like wake your players up a little bit.
I agree. We had a really good time with it, and I feel like that book in particular We've run a couple funnels, but that one in particular was a great entrance to the game for us.
I
And as
personally loved the giant sleeping thing, and that's what everybody's kind of freaking out about. And then all of a sudden, bam, giant jack-o'-lantern. It's like,
spoiler alert.
what?
Spoiler
Where'd that
alert.
come
No, we really enjoyed that. Last but not least, we have Mr. Todd Stashwick, who you may have seen on things like 12 Monkeys or Gotham or Supernatural or Angel or Enterprise or Buffy. The list goes on. And I know you also write for video games, right?
I do.
And-
I have a game that I wrote coming out in October I co-wrote for Square Enix called Forspoken. And I have, I'm currently working with Skydance New Media with a independent startup company called Marvel, writing a game for them. Fingers crossed that they're gonna, make a dent in this world with their IPs.
Yeah.
So yes, I spent a number of years writing a Star Wars video game that never got to see the light of day, but it was one of the joys of my life. So yeah, I've found my way into a writing career in video games as well.
We had never connected you to D&D until we found Mystic Libations, and then we were like, oh my gosh. And I think that's how my co-host Jason originally reached out to you. So Mystic Libations is like a D&D cocktail book, right?
Oh, this?
Oh, that
that
Could it
one right
be?
there.
Yes. So speaking of 12 Monkeys, I did the show, and my this gentleman, Brendan Cleely, who is a former Imagineer, he did the art direction. He did an art direction for Trader Sam's, the tiki bar at Disneyland in Florida, and Trader Sam's Grotto. Yeah.
It's so fun.
And so he has his own website where he sells kind of tiki themed merch. And he does a Instagram live, and he's like, hey, Stashwick, we're fans of 12 Monkeys, and I see that you like the tiki drinks. Do you want to come on and chat with me? And I said, yeah. And so we chatted, and he had never played Dungeons and Dragons. Now he's a big, he loves Fireball Island. He's a tabletop dude, but he had never played D&D. I'm like, well, allow me to be your shepherd. It's like when you find kindred, and you're like, okay, well, you are my shepherd into Tiki. I'll be your shepherd into D&D. We started Zooming. This was at the height of the pandemic because it's over apparently.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
So
if you can call it that.
Well, there's no mask mandate, so it must be done. Boeing. So while we were playing, I was like, hey, let's make a tiki drink themed to this week's game. And he did a cool
Oh, that's awesome.
recipe card, and then made up a thing, and then I found a fun kind of D&D-esque pun for the name. I think about 4 or 5 of these. Well, that way we all could kind of share the drink around the table, no matter where we were in Zoomland. And I was like, I think we're onto something. He's like, I think we are. And we decided to collaborate on a book, and then we kickstarted it, ended up pre-selling 1,000 copies, and
That's
now
awesome.
they're inspired me to create my own merch site.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if people
so the
want to
book-
get it, they go to Nerd Circus, right?
The Nerd Circus.
TheNerdCircus.com.
TheNerdCircus.com. But yeah, so it's recipes, but it's also a playable one-shot at the back.
Oh, nice.
And there's short stories throughout it and amazing art. And
Please tell me
there's
the
short
adventure
stories through it.
starts in a tavern.
Well,
I feel like-
the Bloodthorn Tavern.
There you go. Because
Which
lots of
is
people look down on the tavern start, but I feel like if it's a book about drinks, maybe it should be in the tavern.
I mean, it's a playable one shot,
so-
right?
Yeah.
One shot.
There is a drink in here called the One Shot.
There you go.
So yeah, so what we wanted to do is kind of create little short stories and narrative that section off the different chapters of the book, and then it all cumulatively adds up into a playable one shot that actually incorporates some of the drinks into the game. So it was a labor of love that we did during Kickstarter, and kind of beautifully combined my love of Tiki and my love of D&D.
I love that.
That's
That is
so
a great story.
Super fun.
Well, we're going to give you guys your half hour to make your one shot. We have already given you guys the images. We'll chat through what the images are. and then at the end of a half an hour, we're gonna hear what you have. I'll be honest with you. We've had lots of DMs on this show, but nobody that's an actual author. So I feel like Brendan and Andrew definitely some boots to fill there. And with your own writing, Todd, I think we're in for something here tonight. I'm gonna keep my fingers
it'll
crossed.
be something.
It'll be something. That's
Don't
right.
suck or you die.
Don't suck.
I don't want to die.
Doing words. So you guys go ahead and get started. If you need to mute Aphi or I to concentrate, by all means do that. Keep your eye on maybe the Zoom chat. So if we need to bring you back, then you can see us.
Done.
Is that cool? Start the clock. Half an hour, 30 minutes.
It's
for a
going.
one-shot.
You're started.
going.
Get to
Okay.
work.
So Aphi, what's our first picture that we're going to talk about here?
So our first picture is this amazing Etten, I think is what you said it was.
Well,
with-
an Etten is a two-headed giant.
yeah,
right?
it's
This thing has
three-headed. It's more like the Knights of Knee guy. Just with like a very unfortunate loincloth. That was the first thing I saw when you sent me the picture.
So this credit goes to Janelle Jacque. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but you might be familiar with their work, as they worked for the Judges Guild back in the day. And this comes from the Dungeoneer, which was a magazine that Judges Guild had. And I think that, like the Judges Guild, the name Judge there, I think that's where DCC pulled their sort of inspiration for calling their DM the Judge rather than the DM. So yeah, and if I read some other stuff correctly, so this giant, you would roll randomly to see how many heads it had and how many
Really?
arms it had.
That's horrifying.
So an Etten has 2 heads, but like
Yeah.
this is huge, and I love that he has a tree.
Yeah, just
Right?
carrying
It's
around a tree.
You know,
A whole butt tree.
that'll get the job done. Clearly.
The thing that gets me is just like the amount of detail on, like, you got the arm hair and the treasure trail. Like, so unnecessary, but I love it.
The treasure trail. I did not notice that until right now. And now that I've
It's-
seen it, I'll never unseen it.
Good, because
it's-
honestly, when you sent me this picture, it was like that right down to the loincloth, and I'm like,
So chat's asking the highest amount of heads it can have. I believe that there was a D6 for the number of heads and a D6 for the number of arms.
oh my god.
I'm not sure what a giant does with 6 heads.
Probably about the same as one man does with one.
You're probably not sneaking up on it, right?
No.
You're probably not sneaking up on it. And the more arms, the more attacks. I think this thing has 4 arms, right? Am I counting right?
Yeah, it has 4 arms, and it kind of looks like it's got a third leg, but it's kind of like a derpy third leg. And I don't mean that in a naughty way.
Okay. Like, okay.
No, it's just, it looks like it's got 2 legs that are kind of like,
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
yeah,
The legs do look a little spindly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like extra support or something. I don't know.
Do you think we can chat? Let us know. Is this a villain, or is this a? I kind of like the idea that this is maybe an NPC that the party meets. It doesn't have to be a villain, because I think conversing with multiple heads could be really fun.
Keeping in mind the poor DM or judge or whomever has to play all of 3 of those heads.
Yeah, it's a little. Well, could you imagine? They all have different. They all have different voices.
Yep.
Corvée says the little guy in front doesn't seem to be too worried. You're right. He
That's
seems to be
true.
talking to him.
Kind of like scolding almost. That's what I.
But I feel like he could get a thump. And the arm, what is it carrying? I think that's a hoof. So is that a cow?
It looks like a cow's hoof or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that tracks. I mean, it's a giant.
Yeah.
It's a giant.
No, the dude just kind of look, Larry, Barry, and Bob. Don't even.
Daryl, and Daryl. Plush Viking says the guy in front is the bad guy. I actually really like that idea. That the guy in front is the bad guy, and he's just instructing the dopey giant what to do.
Yeah, well, because the giants got like 2 brain cells to rub together out of the 3 heads, so probably.
Giants are never painted as smart creatures.
No,
do you
they're
know that?
not.
It's very much. I mean, I would think storm giants and stuff are probably pretty smart, but yeah,
Yeah.
This does not look like a smart giant.
No.
No.
Three,
Okay, let's
two brain cells between 3 heads. It's not going anywhere.
let's hit the next one.
All right. So next one is a very, very classic, and I think it might be actually our first trap, really, that we featured, like a very obvious
Like
trap.
a really blatant one.
Yeah, we've had other things where it's like, oh yeah, that could be a trap.
Okay.
But
You're
this is
absolutely
like,
right.
yeah, this is a trap.
This
is a fall away floor over a spike trap.
If traps weren't bad enough, you put spikes at, like if a pit wasn't bad enough, spikes at the bottom of it is
Covered in poop.
devastating.
Yeah.
Poop.
Well, that way you get dysentery and die.
Oh jeez. Like it's not enough. You're in the bottom of the pit. You know, when I first saw this, I didn't realize that was the drop away floor that we were looking up at. I actually thought not only do you fall in the pit, but then they drop a rock on you.
I like that even though.
Like the floor gives way, you fall in the pit, you hit the spikes, and you're like, well, I lived. And then down comes the rock.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like it. What was that? Oh, it was in Hellboy. Rasputin gets thrown into the spike pit and then he drops the giant gear on him.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Is it Rasputin? It's the clockwork guy, right?
The clockwork guy.
Is that Rasputin?
I thought it was. Am I misremembering?
Let us know, chat, if
Oh,
that's
no.
right.
My
Let
nerd
us
card
know.
is in it.
Do you think that a pit trap is the most classic D&D? Like, is this a classic D&D trap or is this an overused thing?
I think it's super classic. I think having one in a dungeon will definitely set the precedent for your party to be like, I'm gonna look for all of the pit traps.
This is not a first level trap.
No, I mean it can be. You can scale it to where it's. Only
I
gonna
think
do,
if
like,
it has
1d4.
if it has no spikes in it, it's a first level trap. But I mean, let's say it's 10 feet. So you got a D6.
D6
Here,
for fall.
here you go with my rule lawyering. The D6 fall, and then the spikes are doing another. If you go old school D&D, you actually roll the number of spikes that hit you. So you're going to roll like a D4 to see how many spikes hit you.
All right. Well, chat is schooling me. It isn't actually Rasputin. It's a bad dude.
A bad dude. It's always a Nazi.
It's always
No, the clockwork guy is a Nazi dude. It's always a Nazi.
All right. Well, Rasputin was in that, right? At some point, he was mentioned. I don't know.
We should do a one shot with Nazis, you and I.
I agree.
Like wiping out Nazis is, you know, you're very Captain America. We could do some sort of super soldier fight the Nazis.
You got to kill the Nazis, man. You got to.
Yeah, okay. I'm in. I'm sold. Yeah, Rasputin is sort of the big bad guy in Hellboy, right?
Thank you. Okay, so I'm not crazy. I knew he was in it. I just couldn't.
He is in it.
Wrong dude.
But the guy that they tossed in the pit is not Rasputin himself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you did hear Captain America. You did hear Captain America. And I'm not wearing my Captain America shirt tonight.
That's okay.
So,
I've got 2 pillows with Captain America's shield on them.
You're keeping it up here. We were just talking about Disney and Disney Plus, and there you go.
Yep.
Captain America. What do we are we going too fast here? I'm very excited tonight with our guests. I can't wait to see what they come up with.
We can slow down a little.
The fact that I've played in, like, we've run Brendan's games, we've used Andrew's monster books, and I don't have my copy of Todd's book yet, but it is on the way.
Mine
it didn't get here in time. I'm like, please let it get here.
But it's gonna end up in my games, you know. Go to the tavern. Okay, we'll like roll a 1d100 and I'll see what drink you get.
So not everybody realizes this, but my co-host Jason is literally sitting right there. And we do drinks at his tiki bar fairly regularly throughout the summer. So I think it's going to come in very handy.
I mean, I wouldn't know.
Would you agree? Do you want to wave your hand? People don't want to. People might not believe you're here. You're actually here.
Jason does exist. He is like a real person.
Yes.
If you don't follow us on Instagram, there's one picture of him or 2 pictures. Oh, there's a hand.
Oh,
there he is.
He's gonna stick it. Hold on.
Is this gonna happen?
Lean in. Oh my God! Don't kiss me.
He exists.
It happened.
How much did he have to drink today?
I was worried. He hasn't had anything to drink today.
I'm shook. I am shook.
Let's see the next image there, Aphi.
Well, the next image is how I feel after seeing Jason on camera during a live event.
This is how you feel?
did.
Do it. Do it.
So we've got a gentleman or perhaps lady in the foreground, tied to a pole.
It could be a rough looking lady.
It's a rough looking lady.
It could be a rough looking man.
Yeah. It's just they've had a bad day.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've
And that
had
is
a bad day.
that is a legit pool. That is a legit pool. Maybe even a tree that's just been trimmed.
Yeah.
So I really like this picture for a couple reasons. One, we have the castle in the background and it's in a ruin. So is that going to be a part of the adventure? There's smoke rising.
Yeah, it looks like it's recently on fire.
Yeah. We have a crow. Or would you crow or raven?
Raven.
I like crows. People use raven a lot, but I like crows. I don't know why.
Maybe it's a magpie.
Corvée says this one really sets the mood. I think you're right. I think this picture has the potential to sort of set up the whole adventure and why we're there.
Hollow Eyes says the person was meant to go to the Giants show, so the three-headed giant, but lost their ticket, so they got tied up outside.
Just Another Captain says this screams stay away. And Plush Viking says the raven talks, it's sentient. The guy is dead, but told a secret to the crow. Oh,
ooh.
I really, you know what, Viking, you come up with some pretty good ideas. Some pretty good ideas, my man.
Yeah, definitely.
This is not the first time I've really liked your ideas.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we should play together. Oh wait.
We already do.
We do. Because the Giants are a group of 3 birds.
They're their own band.
They're their own band. What instrument would be their, like, what do you do?
I feel like it would be the instrument from Mary Poppins. You know, the drum, the xylophone, the triangle, the
one-man
like
band,
the whole thing, the one-man band.
Okay, you have to run it, and I want to hear your Dick Van Dyke voice. That's what I want to hear.
I am no good at the Cockney accent.
I
suck at it.
Oi, oi. That's all I know. That's all I can do. Oi, Mary Poppins. Did I do okay?
No.
I think I did. No. Okay.
You should bow your head in shame.
People are already volunteering for your one shot.
Oh, really? Crap.
With Dick Van Dyke the Giant. I mean, it's sold, right? We've already sold it.
All right. Well, shit.
Oh shit. Why do you think the arrows are there?
I feel like this is probably a firing line.
Oh.
Guy was tied up, had his last cigarette, firing line.
His last cigarette, like you throw the smoke in there.
Well, you know how it always is that in like the movies, right? They come out for their execution, they're blindfolded, they're given a cigarette, and then they're shot.
Someone says he has huge hands. Well, you know what that means.
Huge gloves.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I agree. To be fair, Dick Van Dyke was bad at the Cockney accent.
That's true. He's not a very good benchmark.
So if I model after him, you can't criticize me too hard. You can't criticize me too hard.
I mean, we can, but that's just because we love you.
Okay, fine. Zoom out on this picture again. I'm going to be bossy here.
Oh, so bossy.
Because I really think that this is
it's a mood.
Yeah.
It's a
I
mood.
really think that it is the one that so you know, when we pick these pictures, Jason and I try occasionally to find something that's sort of like setting oriented.
Mm-hmm.
We don't always succeed, but I feel like this one's in the neighborhood.
See, this one and the one from a couple weeks ago with the crashed ship in the swamp, like those
that
were
was good too.
Absolutely mood setters, and I think the DMs that we had on definitely kind of took it and ran with those ones.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all different settings, granted, but it was still like that is where it starts, or that's where it ends, or that's where they need to go. Like it was very, very cool. So I think, this is definitely. I mean, if you wanted to go tragic backstory or whatever, the tragic hero ending, this could be the end. That's
the end of the adventure. Oh, look at you engineering the PC's death.
I would never.
Like this is where you're gonna start. Sparty Cookie, thank you for the bits.
Thank you, Sparty.
That's awesome. Okay, so shall we go bug people?
Sure, let's go bug people.
Andrew, can you hear us? We'll bug you first.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm preparing to be bugged.
Is there a picture that has done it for you? It doesn't have to be one of the three we've already talked about, but is there one image that sort of set the tone for you?
Yeah,
Or-
well, funnily enough, the 4 of them I would say help set the scene for me, but
Okay, good.
the throwing star is the one that actually got me sparked
cool.
for a story. Yeah.
And we
And it
haven't
actually
shown that one
doesn't-
yet, which is even better.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't actually have anything to do with the fact that it's a weapon. It has to do with the fact of using the sky for the story. So
Oh, cool.
yeah.
I like that. I like that very much. Is there one that has stumped you that you don't know how to use, or do you sort of have it all together?
They're all in there. I'd say the part about the person being tied up in the foreground with the castle, that part
Yeah.
doesn't really interest me as much.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's okay. Hey, just you can throw it away if you want.
For sure.
I mean,
But I'll use the castle.
we might have to engineer your death for it, but you know,
It's true.
you even have a picture there that's kind of cheating. We're going to show that, I think, next.
Yeah, that's true.
But we'll tell everybody about it when we get there.
Yeah,
Okay, let's. Who are we bugging now? You want to bug Brendan?
sure. If he's listening.
He said he had everything turned down, so I'm gonna message him. Brendan, can you talk?
Brendan, can you hear me?
We'll have to figure out a solution for Zoom when this comes along.
It could be nice if you could just ping them and it would override the.
Yeah, that would be
noise.
great. I don't know. What if I asked to unmute? Asked to unmute. Let's try that.
Oh, I think that did ping them when we did it last time with.
Yeah, Brendan said he's there, but he's just got everything turned down low.
Yeah.
Todd, can you hear us?
Nope.
Nope. Todd's out too.
All
Todd's
right,
out too.
Brendan thoughts.
Okay, hold on. I think we got Brendan's attention.
Hello.
Can you hear us now, Brendan?
Yeah, how's it going?
Not bad. How's it going for you? Is there an image that sort of got the ball rolling for you, or is there one that you're like, I don't know what to do with that? It's just not fitting in.
Nope, I got it. I guess the one that I really like is the crow and the man, the bound man with the castle in the back.
With the castle in the background, that's where sort of it started for you.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's cool. That's cool. We try to put one sort of setting picture in, so I'm glad that worked for you. Is there one that just that you're like, I don't know what to do with that, or is it all coming together?
It's all coming together, but it's like that's the job is to take all of these things and then go ahead and use it. So just by dint of it being here, it certainly worked. I just have to figure out how. That was my starting off rule. So but I think I've got, I don't know if it's going to be the dumbest thing anyone's ever heard, but I think it's going to be,
I promise you, I've heard all of these. I'm sure it won't be the dumbest.
Yeah, we had one
Aphi-
guy who kind of like made it up as he went along after having his half an hour. So
you can't prove that. You can't prove that.
I absolutely can. His live was up and I could watch it.
Okay. Let's let Brendan get back to it, and we'll see if we can summon Todd from the. Todd, can you talk for a sec? I always like to put smiley faces on it.
Yeah, it makes you seem less intrusive.
Yeah, maybe. I'm never sure if this ask to unmute works or not.
I think it does ping them, but I think somebody in chat said he took his earbuds out, so he might.
Yeah,
not.
that's okay. That's okay. We can't get Todd. We'll just move on to the next one. Let's move on to the next one.
All right.
And if
sounds-
Todd comes in, we'll just stop what we're doing.
Sounds good. Let me just move this around. Okay. So this one,
Yeah.
Sarlacc vibes.
It's got what
Yee.
vibes? Sarlacc
vibes.
Okay, so this next one, this is what I was talking to about Andrew about cheating, because this is actually from one of Andrew's books, Monsters of the Wilderness, and I just really like this thing. Like, it's like it's clearly a monster, but it's also maybe not a monster. Like maybe it's just bait. Like I like the idea that someone went in there and just set it up to look like that. So people are like, I'm not going in there.
Oh,
And
like
then-
one of those really, really intense 3D chalk drawings.
yes,
And
exactly.
it's you only see it like the one way you look at it and it works. And then
Yes. Yes, that's
like,
great. Yes, some of our guests. Someone just asked, "Can Andrew hear you?" Yes, some of the guests can hear us tonight. We're on Zoom tonight, so Zoom doesn't let us quite mute people the way Discord does. But that's cool. We're cool. We've done them like this before. This is not the first time this has happened.
I think
But
Todd
very
is
Sarla-
listening now.
Very Sarlacki. Is Todd there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's talk about Todd. Todd, is there an image that sort of got the ball rolling for you, or one that
Has
you're
it
like-
been that long already?
No,
I
it's
think
only
so.
you still got 10 minutes.
you still got 10 minutes?
We're just checking in.
Yeah, we're just checking in. You don't have to give us the whole detail. Just like, is there one that sort of like, this is the image that sort of got it all going for me?
Yes.
Well, which one was that?
Oh, you want to know which one it was?
Oh, I want to know. I want to
Because
know.
that was a binary question you
Tell
asked me.
me.
That's true. That's true.
You
Okay.
get one question.
And that is
Is
it.
there an image that
Off the
struck your
bridge.
fancy? Yes, there was. The image was the man tied to the post,
The man on the post.
with the arrows in his gullet.
Awesome. Is there one that you're lost on, don't know how to use, or
And
do you
which
think
one
you
is
got
it?
Oh, and which one is it? Yes, I should have learned. I should have learned.
Yes.
That's why you're here.
No. We're all good. We're all good here.
You're all good. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. We're fine. How are you? Boring conversation anyway.
If you don't know,
Come
the,
on.
if you don't
It's
know
the right day
reference,
for that.
If you don't know
don't
the
know
reference,
for
get
that.
out.
get out.
And why is it the right
Get
day
out.
for that?
Why is it the right day for that? Because I believe Star Wars was released on this day, was it not?
1977, May 25th.
I was 3. I was 3.
I was 8.
I wasn't
Oh.
I
born
saw
yet.
it in the theaters.
I saw
Oh,
it.
so was
I.
I.
Did you? How old were you, Andrew?
I was 8 too.
Yeah.
Too?
Yeah.
Born in
that.
68 or 69 or
69.
67? 69.
69.
I was born in
There's
68. I
probably
was
a
8
joke
going
there.
on 9. Yeah.
For
And-
Star Wars, I saw Star Wars in the drive-through in a back-to-back with Empire Strikes Back when it had come. just
Heard of
come
it?
out. Yeah, heard of it. It's
Wow.
Yeah, nice.
So that was the first time you saw them both.
yeah.
Bam,
Like
bam.
I had never seen. I don't think maybe. I'd
Yeah,
seen
some of us had to wait 3 years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was worth the wait. It was worth the wait.
Oh, it sure was worth the wait.
Okay, let's get everybody back on their their preps. We love Star Wars, obviously.
Obviously.
You know?
And then Plush is saying he's the oldest guy. Oh, he's not the oldest guy here. Look at that. Well, go tell the world, Plush. Go tell the world. Okay,
Are
let's
you
up
asking
that.
me if I can talk for a sec? Was that just this moment?
Yeah.
When I saw
That
the
was just
chat?
this moment. That was just this moment. You're good.
Bye, everybody. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Ta-ta.
Goodbye. Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, back to the Sarlacc.
Yeah, back to the Sarlacc pit. So yeah, what we're saying, hyper realistic chalk drawing or actual monster.
Yeah. Or is the story really just the NPC in the background?
He's very yellow.
What's wrong with that?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying like he's very
Yellow.
yellow. It's just a comment.
Yellow.
Why you gotta make something out of it?
What was that? Who sang yellow? Coldplay?
Unfortunately.
Oh, there's some feelings there. There's some feelings there. Yikes. Okay.
They're
Okay.
terrible.
Are they? That's you're standing by that?
That you can quote me on
I don't think
that.
we can be friends anymore. I don't think we can be friends anymore. Does your husband feel that way too? Because he's a
Yes.
better taste in music than you.
Ah!
Sorry,
We have like the same taste in music, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I would love the idea if it had nothing to do. This is just this old. Maybe this is the adventure tied to the post. And he's going to tell you a story about this time that he fought the monster on the path.
Except it wasn't actually a monster. It was just a chalk drawing, and he spent like 5 hours
Okay.
planning how to
Fair
get
enough.
past it.
Do you know what I just realized? Quick recap here. The Pit Trap artist John Higgins,
Yes.
and it came from Grail Quest #1, Castle of Darkness, 1986. We do not own a copy of Grail Quest between us, Jason or I, but we believe it is also a choose your own adventure like book.
Shame.
And And then the Dead Man and the Raven comes from Lone Wolf book series. We don't know which one, unfortunately, but it is by Gary Chalk, and we all know how much we love Gary Chalk.
Yes, we are in love with Gary Chalk.
I don't want to, Jason may be romancing Gary Chalk to come to try to get him on Gary Chalk
Super fan.
and get him on Prep or Die. Make that happen. Get him on Prep or Die.
I think maybe he was a guest judge.
Okay.
Come
as a
on,
guest judge.
Jason, do something.
And this last one we just looked at is called The Deadly Path, and it's from Monsters of the Wilderness, Oswald's Curse by Kaywood Publishing, artist Travis Hansen. And if you didn't hear me say earlier, go check out Kaywood Publishing's Kickstarter for Monsters of the Phelan 2, because I love Monsters of the Phelan 1 so much that I think you need to check it out. And if you watched our live stream, we actually used a ton of monsters from it. It was good.
It was very cool and nearly wiped us. Those forget me frogs are no freaking joke.
And had the party not really worked together on the giant basilisk. By the way, the giant basilisk's weakness is a rooster. No jokes, because we'll get in trouble. But there was a lot of the druid, I think, at one point changed into a rooster.
There were a lot of rooster jokes.
Yeah, there was a lot of rooster jokes. Okay, let's do it. Let's do our last image because no one can resist a rooster joke.
Nope, nobody. So the last one is the ninja star.
It's not a ninja star.
It's a ninja star.
You millennial. This is from perhaps one of the greatest movies ever created. Do we know? Do you know the movie?
It's familiar, but I don't want to say it and be wrong because I've already my nerd card got punched a little bit.
That's
earlier,
okay. That's okay.
With the Hellboy
The movie
reference.
The movie is Krull.
Okay. Yeah.
I am a huge Krull fan.
Yeah.
In fact, our Old Men Rolling Dice, the podcast is about to release for third season. Jason and I start talking about things that inspired us in our D&D games. My greatest inspiration for all of Dungeons and Dragons probably is Krull. So we talked about Krull. I mean, it's got everything that a D&D movie should have. And this weapon is called the glaive. This piece of art, this is like a small corner of the movie poster. And if you've never seen Krull, I'm not blaming you. It's kind of campy and it's old. Let me check the exact date on the release.
I mean, you can kind of tell from the aesthetic.
Yeah.
That it has that sort of cheesy 70s, 80s
1983
vibe.
1983.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's science fiction it's like Star Wars meets Lord of the Rings. And maybe that's overselling it, but I don't care. And
it's a little bit of an oversell, but I'm here for it.
This weapon is called the glaive, and so those blades retract so that you just have sort of like a starfish, and then you can throw it and the blades come out, and then you can telekinetically control it once it's out there. It's like the greatest weapon ever made.
That is pretty cool.
It's like a ninja star that sort of comes back a little bit and then goes back in. Yeah. Okay. Dice Station Zebra. The weapon captured the imaginations of all the kids in the schoolyard. Agreed. I would say two weapons did that to me in the 80s. This weapon and the tri-sword from Sword and the Sorceress. Sword and the Sorceress. I mean, you had to be over a certain age to see it because there was some nudity in it. I'm just going to say that was part of its charm. But
no, you wouldn't have to be a certain age because they riff it on riff tracks all the time.
Do they?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. The tri-sword. Yes, the tri-sword. And this thing is sort of like a stabby fidget spinner, Corvée says. I agree.
I had a Pog Slammer that looked like this.
A Pog Slammer.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Throwing it back to the 90s.
I love that. And Sonic Decay mentions Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson has not a front lead role in this movie. He's like bandit number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. How much time do we have?
We still got a couple minutes.
We got time to give them. Yeah. I just want to make sure that because I'm gushing over this picture. This poster, I never owned it, but it's right up there with Star Wars for me. It's such a corny movie, but it was so when we went to get movies when I was a kid, my mom and dad were too cheap to buy a VCR.
So you rented it from the Blockbuster?
No, Blockbusters weren't even around yet. We rented it from a little store in town called the Video Buff, and we rented a VHS and 12 movies. Mom would get 12 movies, and you would watch movies from Saturday all the way through to the end of Sunday. And Krull was one of them. That was where I didn't even see Krull in the movie theater. I just saw it at home. and I was like, man, amazing. I'm in.
Yeah.
In fact, it came out in 83 and I started playing Dungeons and Dragons in 84. I certainly didn't, I probably saw it in 84. I probably had already played some stuff. Monster remembers Video Buff, Monsters from My Home. Video Buff was like right downtown beneath an apartment building. It was like one of those stores built into the base of the apartment building. Krull is on par with Beastmaster. Yes, Beastmaster's another one.
Beastmaster's just hot mess.
Go watch Deathstalker. That's a hot mess.
Oh my god, it so is.
Deathstalker is horrible, and it does not hold up.
No, it's really bad.
I'm not a fan.
If you want to watch it and actually enjoy it, Riff Tracks.
You watch all kinds of stuff on Riff Tracks, right?
I freaking love Riff Tracks.
It's good.
It makes
it's
my
good.
day. It's something I can put on when I'm working, and it's just
Hawk Slayer.
Yeah, Hawk the Slayer.
If you get a chance to watch Hawk,
Slayer.
if you get a chance to watch Hawk the Slayer, when they throw their magic missile spells, it's actually
Jack
like
Palance.
it's like glow in the dark. Glow in the dark. What would you call those Super Bowls?
So
Like they're just...
I started the D&D club in my junior high school in 1980.
Yes.
And we checked out from the AV department, like where they were on metal racks and they were like 3/4 inch tapes, and you would wheel the television as one unit into the library so that we could watch Hawk the Slayer.
Yeah.
Oh.
And by the way, Krull holds up.
I think so.
Krull holds up. It's due for a reboot.
I'm down. Maybe you should do that.
It's not that it hasn't been spoken of. I
Okay.
would love to adapt it into a TV series.
Oh, I really like that.
That would
I
be
like that.
awesome.
I would love to do
the
that.
the Beast, he travels from planet to planet in that ship. Like you could have all kinds of different stories about it.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm waiting for it now. I'll be watching Amazon Prime and all the rest of it.
Be
Netflix.
extremely disappointed when it doesn't happen.
I'm going to tell you something, Todd. You are like
Yep.
the spirit animal of my co-host Jason, because he loves Hawk the Slayer. No one we talk to ever knows about Hawk the Slayer. He's into Tiki.
Oh my god.
The list goes on and on.
We are kindred.
The bromance
We
is
are
starting.
kindred.
It's amazing. Really, I
My
feel
little watch went off just so.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's
we're
why
good.
I
We're
jumped
The
good.
30
back on.
minutes are up.
if everybody is done, we'll get Brendan back, and then we always roll a D12 because we feel like the D12 is the abused stepchild of the dice world.
Ooh.
So we always roll the D12 to give it a chance to shine.
Yep.
And but I don't pick the numbers. Aphi picks the numbers because I never feel like the numbers line up right.
Because you're a DM that doesn't do math.
I know. It happens.
I
It
don't either.
happens. Brendan, are you familiar with Hawk the Slayer?
Yes, yes, I am. It is not a good movie, but everyone needs to watch it automatically, and it is part of my secret dice ritual.
What?
You're what?
It's part of my secret dice ritual.
Okay.
Okay, please.
So, do you ever
elaborate.
have? If you ever have underperforming dice,
Yes.
okay, what you can do is you put them inside your dice bag, put it
Yep.
under your pillow, okay, put Hawk the Slayer on, and then fall asleep to it. And then the magic of Hawk the Slayer
Yes.
will come from the screen through your brain and into your dice.
Well,
You have to do it 2 or 3 times though, usually. So
do we have a copy of Hawk the Slayer? Do you have a copy?
I do not.
You do not. You talk about it all the time, and you don't have a copy.
Where's
how's your
it?
dice luck?
Have your dice been performing well? We're totally razzing Jason. He's the Hawk the Slayer fan.
How are your dice performing, Jason?
How are your dice performing?
They've never been super strong.
They've never been strong. Obviously, you need to do what Brendan's saying is that you need to put them with Hawk under your pillow. I mean, the glow in the dice magic, the glow in the dark balls that they throw that are clearly bouncing balls. The best. The best. Okay, so let's roll a dice and we'll see who gets to sort of tell us what they came up with their. Someone just fell down upstairs. Did you hear that?
I heard a thump. I thought it was just you
I don't know.
flailing.
I have 3 kids. Sometimes my one kid fell down today and broke his collarbone. Anyway,
I didn't see that. Is he
hopefully-
okay?
yeah, he's fine. He's fine. It's his 3rd time breaking the same collarbone. How do you do that? He was doing long jump. Anyways, we can talk
Wow.
about that later. Okay. So let's roll the dice and see who goes first. Have you picked who's which numbers?
Yes. So
Are you-
Brendan is 1 to 4, Todd is 5 to 8, and Andrew is rounding it out to 12.
Well, roll it.
I got an 8. So that is
Well, who's that?
Mr. Todd.
Take it
All
away.
right.
Tell us about your one shot.
All right. So we open in the town of Tillicmori. It is a seaside halfling village on the Tethier Peninsula. It is. We are in the middle of the Festival of Spirits. Tillicmori is known for whiskey. And your party is a half elf fighter magic user. It's a mix of people, Elena, and so they are told to go to Tillicmori to meet Morton's half brother, a human bard by the name of, I named him Vengar. So Vengar, he was sent to meet there because he had discovered a map to a treasure called the Star of Crispin. Now, he's not there. Not uncommon for a bard to show up late. So you're not terribly worried. You kind of chill. You're like, okay, you know what? We're gonna enjoy the festival. There's acts, there's fire eaters, there's juggling kobolds, there's halflings, there's whiskey tasting. So you have a seat at a tavern known as the Three Fine Fellows. So you're sitting at the tavern of Three Fine Fellows, and an old man walks up to Morton, the half elf, and he says, his eyes go white, and he says, "I must do a reading for you." And Morton's a little weirded out, drinking his halfling whiskey, but he's like, okay. So the man sits down, his hands trembling, and he starts turning over his fortune reading cards. And the first card he lays down is of the man tied to the post with all the arrows in him. A shiver goes through Morton's spine because that is the doublet that he gave his bardic brother for when he graduated from the College of Lore. He immediately recognizes this image of his brother with arrows shot in his side. And so he's like now freaked out. Now the man, he speaks and he says, your brother is in trouble. Your brother, you must save your brother. You must go to the crag and save your brother. Save your brother, save the sky. And his eyes go normal again, and the man slumps over, sort of half drunken, doesn't know what happened. He's a little startled by this, and then his eyes go white again for a second, and he says, you must seek the Malapor. Seek Malapor in the crag. And he's like, and then he goes again, and then they order him a whiskey. This is very troublesome to your half-elf. He wants to save his brother. He's now worried that his brother has sought out the Star of Crispin, and he must he's got to do it. So he gathers up his party, and he doesn't know how to get to the crag. He seeks out a Sherpa. He goes to a stable, and he says, "Does anybody know where we can get some horses? We get some horses. You get horses for the party." And then we need a Sherpa. And then you hear the stablemate. She's like, "I've got just the group for you to lead you on your party." And she screams, "Clunt! Fabian! McMaster!" And from the back, you see a shadow walking about 3 feet tall, and the shadow comes around the corner, and it's a dwarf giant with 3 heads, and that's Clunt, Fabian, and McMaster, and it's a barbarian that knows their way around the hot nows. So you horse up, you gather your gear, whatever supplies you would need, and you head north to the Hot Now Mountains Clunt, Fabian, and McMaster arguing amongst themselves on the ride the whole way. They bickering amongst themselves. Well, let me lead the horse. Well, I'm leading the horse. You know, they're kind of going back and forth, arguing with themselves. But they will lead you north. So now you're going north, but something seems to be following you out of the town of Tillicmore. Now it's a few days ride to the Hotnows from the Tethier Peninsula. So you go north, but then in a clearing, we will roll for initiative because you are attacked by a bunch of bugbears. Just arrows are flying. And so the party has to get off the horse. Everybody, we go through all the rounds. So this is the first major encounter. Everything else before this would be all like, investigation rolls, perception rolls, buying of goods. And so a little, it starts in a halfling village adventure. So now you're being attacked by bugbears. You best these bugbears. You get back on your horses and you head up to the crag. Now you get to the crag. And it's about midday, and the party is now looking for. They're screaming Malapor, Malapor, Malapor. They don't know what they're doing, and then they hear this voice. You don't have to yell. I am beneath you. And they look down, and there in the ground is a face in the ground with tentacles. Ask your questions. What do you see? And the Malapor is there to aid. And your half elf shows the card. Says, "I seek my brother Vengar. What do you know?" And the Malapor asks for a tribute. I will answer your question with a tribute. And your party, including Clunt, Fabian, and McMaster, they all, they have to talk amongst themselves what the tribute is. And the tribute, the Malapor asks for a pinky. So amongst the group, they have to decide which one of them is willing to hack off a finger and feed it to the Malapor to get the information.
Nice.
And maybe they roll for it. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But a sacrifice, some sort of tribute has to be given, fed to the Malapor in order to get the information. One of them does it. Probably the one that doesn't have to use a bow by any. So let's say Fabian, your barbarian mini giant, 3-headed mini giant, hacks off a finger and chucks it into the mouth. The Malapor says, "The one you seek." The one you seek is in the Castle Brenbow. And then the Malapor, she goes on to tell you, she says the Castle Brenbow has been abandoned for 500 years, but it has been taken over by a bugbear queen named Akrabu. Now, Akrabu is a bugbear queen, and so you kind of start putting two and two together, that the bugbears are the ones that were sent after you. And she says, the one you seek is in the castle of the vanished inhabitants of the castle. And then before, she's kind of chewing on the pinky. Before she spits out the pinky bones, she says, the Celestra will save him if you save them. So now it is off to Castle Brenbow. So you ride, it's about a day's ride north. So now we're heading towards the third act of our one shot. It's about a day's north from the crag where you met the Malapor, and you go a day's north, and then there, just like the card, is your brother, dead, tied to the post with bugbear arrows sticking out of him. But one of your party remembers that the Malapor said the Celestra will save him if you save them. So You cut your brother down, you throw him over your shoulder, you all get back on your horses, then you send them north. They will ride north to the castle, filled with various random encounters that you may roll for. I don't know, but you're definitely attacked by bugbear. So you make your way through the castle, you fight your way into the main throne room. In the throne room is all of the spikes are crystals, pum, 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 pum. And deceased people who've tried to attack the castle before are all they're all dead amongst these crystals. Now around the room is crystalline statues of celestials. They're all sort of honoring and looking up and looking down. They're looking at each other, and then sitting on the throne is Akrabu, the bugbear queen, but around her neck is a blue amulet and it glows. So, this, that, yada, yada, roll for initiative. You got to safely make your way through the spikes, fighting off bugbears. Mortine, he knocks back an arrow. He would shoot it, destroying the amulet. Boom, when they destroy the amulet and the bugbear queen, Akrabu, is defeated, the celestials, the statues of the angels all go back into corporeal form, and they cast forth like white glowing magic, and all the spikes turn back into the inhabitants of the castle Benbow. They were all there, and the celestial said, "We did not mean," and you hear them in your heads, "We did not mean to do this. We tried to communicate with them, but our voices at the time caused them to turn into these crystalline spikes." And they said, "But you have freed us, and we now can return home." And they go out behind the castle, and behind the castle, beneath the ground, as they all start singing amongst each other, the ground begins to rumble, and from the ground, the giant 5-pointed ship with the center crystal, they all enter, and they bid you farewell, and all of the people who have been disappeared for 500 years all gather around you, and they look as this ship takes off and headed for the sky, because you thought that they were angels, but much to your surprise, they climbed aboard their starship and headed for the skies. And that's all I got.
No, believe me, that is plenty. That is plenty.
That's awesome.
I loved it.
Hell yeah.
The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull ending was just
And very animated. I liked how it was building there.
that was awesome.
Very good.
Come sail
Very
away,
good.
come sail away, come sail away with me.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sorry that you all have to follow that. Sometimes the 12-sided is not friendly.
No, sometimes it's not. So 1 to 6.
That was me. You had me at doublet. When you used the word
Yeah.
doublet, I was like, I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm totally in on this. I'm
I'm a
and
Ren
the
Fair
fact,
kid. I'm a
and
Ren
the
Fair
fact that
kid.
the star is the ship, again, amazing. Amazing.
Hilarious. Love it. Thank you.
Cheers.
All right. So
And the names, by the way, I find
yeah.
names to be the hardest part of role-playing games.
I love them.
But when you get a good one, you get a good one.
and then you just
well-
have to hope that your PCs don't twist it and make it something
Butcher
silly.
it. Exactly. Always. I think it's a player's job to twist the DM's names into something
Absolutely.
ridiculous.
That-
Absolutely.
That's the only reason that the PCs play,
Yeah.
just to screw with the DM.
Okay, let's roll and see who's going next.
All right, D6. 1 to 6 is Brendan. 7 to 12 is Andrew. Got a 7. All you, Andrew.
Andrew?
All right. Now I get to follow that.
You got this. I believe in you.
All right. So this is the Path of Stars. So we begin in a forest known as the Edgewood, on the edge of a mountain range. The party will be meeting in a campsite. This is the first time they're all meeting and getting to know each other. And I like to start a lot of adventures or campaigns very relaxed, so the players don't really know what's coming next. So they're relaxing at a campsite, having some mead, having some food, and they meet this old man named Desmond. And he seems quite friendly. He shares his food. He welcomes them. And at first they think, oh, this is just one of the locals. This is just someone who he's a hunter in the woods. And later it turns out he's actually the steward of the Edgewood. He's actually in charge of this land. But he seems like, so down to earth, he seems like one of their neighbors. So they're sitting down at this campfire. It's a starry night, but there are some clouds. And suddenly Desmond stops drinking, puts down his tankard, and says, I don't believe it. The dragon constellation, the 5-pointed stars, they've been rearranged somehow. It is the griffin. And the party all looks up, and yes, they can make out what seems to be a griffin kind of shape. And he says, you don't understand. This changes everything. This is lining up with the prophecy. A new king has been born. You must travel across the mountains. This is urgent. I cannot leave my forest, but you adventurers, you're young. You could probably survive and get to the castle. You must go. You must go. A new king has been born. And just as he says this, a moon comes out as the clouds move away, and it lights up a trail going into the mountains. And actually there's some minerals in the rocks that sparkle like the stars above. And he says, this is all lining up. I've heard this prophecy since I was a teenager. You must leave at first light. I will equip you. I will give you some rations. This is urgent. You must travel. It's go through the mountains, follow that path. On the other side, there's a castle. You must see the king as a new king has been born. This is a really momentous occasion for all of us. So now the party has to travel through the mountains of the rock, and they first meet some hunters who say, well, there's 3 trails through these mountains. 2 of them are quite deadly, so we would avoid those, and they just walk off. Well, that's actually not true. All the trails are, because you're the DM, you can do whatever you want. All the trails are the same. Each one of these trails has a deadly path monster, which we have in the images there. And each one of them has a hill giant, which is foretelling what's to come. We also have a random table here for the mountain travels. So a D6 will bring up a rock slide, a swarm of sturges, a rainstorm, a merchant struggling with a wagon through the mountains, a stone elemental coming to life, and a rope bridge crossing. So
Classic.
the mountain journey is preparing the party for what's to come. As they get through the mountains, they see the castle in the distance. And it's at this point just a dark silhouette. However, in between, there's a lot of farmland. It seems quite deserted though, and they only run into one farmer named Malcolm. And he has a pet crow who's flying around him, and seems like he's harassing this gentleman. And Malcolm finds out the party is going to the castle, and he says, oh no, you can't go there. The Blue Baron has taken over the castle. Times have changed. The royal family is gone. You mustn't go. And the crow actually flies around the party and starts pecking at different members and seems to be urging them forwards. And if they follow the crow, it will urge them and it will fly towards the castle. That's the way the crow is traveling. That's the way he's flying. And the party, if they want to continue the adventure, they're going to have to ignore this farmer's warnings. Finally, they get to Frackendale Castle. It is not in great shape. There's dark clouds are literally right above the castle. In fact, as this journey's gone on, the weather's got worse and worse. They also notice near the castle, there's fresh graves. If they search these graves, they will find basically the inhabitants of the castle, including the king who's being buried with his crown. If they decide, if they're brave enough to enter the castle to find out what's happening, they will find that it seems to be deserted at first. And not only that, all the furniture and all the trappings from the original royal family have all been moved out, and all the furniture is giant sized. And it's not in great shape. Somebody has just hammered these rough pieces of wood together and scraps and made makeshift furniture around the castle, but it's all giant size. Other than that, it seems fairly deserted. But as they're in the castle, things start to come to life, and old constructs, magical constructs that the royal family used to use to protect the castle come to life and start to attack the party. If they survive that, they find there is a dungeon. In this dungeon, there are spiked pit traps. There are oozes. It's your 1978 dungeon crawl.
Of course.
There's a goblin clan living down there who actually works for the new ruler of the castle, but won't say anything other than that the name of this ruler is the Blue Baron. There's also an ancient painting that is seemed to be cared for, unlike anything in the castle. And part of this painting is a dungeon with a door. Now, this door in the painting is actually a real door. And so if the party is smart enough, there's nowhere else to explore, they will go through this door and they'll find a hidden jail. Kept in this jail are 4 different people: an annoying bard, you've got to have that, rogue who is trying to steal items from the castle, a nervous apprentice wizard, and last of all, a woman with a newborn baby. Now, the mystery part of the story, if the party is clever and they start to interrogate these people and get to know them, they will find out that this woman was the queen, and this is her new son, the new king. And the last part of the adventure is that the Blue Baron is a massive blue 3-headed giant who now rules this castle, who's out hunting with his tree, and he's about to return. And that's our adventure.
That's great.
Oh yeah.
Well done.
Fantastic, man.
Your castle name was amazing. Was it Frackendale? Did I get it right?
Frackendale.
Frackendale, yes. I put in chat, Frackendale rhymes with. Yeah, no, I really like that. And I also like that you mentioned like the famous DM trick of like 3 paths, but they're all really the same.
Exactly.
You think you're
why
doing
Illusion
it.
of choice.
Some proper
Well, you're
dungeon
not.
master action right there.
Yes, why prep 3? Why prep
Exactly.
3? That's
Then
awesome.
they go, we double back. We're going to take the second one now.
Oh, of
Ah,
course.
crap.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there was a random table there. You just start rolling
right.
that
Yep,
madly.
Yeah.
It's a dimension
Absolutely.
door. You're in the other one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew. Brendan, I don't think we need to roll. I think you can just take it.
Max
They can roll, they
damage.
can roll. I need to refresh, but I can hear you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so I start off with the crow approaching the players. So the players are in the middle of another adventure. They're on their way from one location to another location. When this crow comes over them and just speaks to them in common. And the crow says, I know where there's a dying man, and he is asking to speak to someone that speaks, understands English, and might be able to help him because he knows of a terrifying thing that's in danger with the entire land. So will you help him? So if they don't, there's a big consequence, and I don't want to ruin it. So, but if they do, assuming they actually go over there and check this guy out, this guy is there, and he tells them that he is the keeper of the glaive. Now, the glaive is the actual glaive from the movie Crow. Okay, the belief of all generations of super fans have actually imbued it with power, and now it flies from world to world, having adventures and helping people who find it, fight injustice.
It's
and
like
all
the
that.
Rubik's Cube cartoon.
It's like the Rubik's Cube cartoon. That's right.
I'm having fun.
I
So
feel like
it,
I'm missing something with that, but
No, like the actual item is sentient and is having adventures. That's all I was
Okay.
just saying. That's
Can someone
awesome.
put a link in the website to
Yeah,
the
the Rubik. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, not at all.
You
Not at
inspired
all.
me.
So anyway, it came to this world and he knew he had to keep it. But as soon as he touched it, he automatically knew the exact time and day that he was going to die. Okay, it's a holdover curse from the movie. It's the curse that afflicted the Cyclops in that one. So just by touching the glaive, he's going to die. He knows the date that he's going to die on. So he hides it away. At some point later, he gets approached by a wicked king, and this wicked king, he wants the glaive for himself. He's just a power lusting, awful person, just takes everything. The guy says no, but he takes him out back to his castle. He ties him out in front and he tortures him, trying to get him to give away the location of the glaive. He won't do it because he knows this is the day he's going to die. The king finally goes back and says, well, I know a ritual that will give me incredible powers. I will do that, and then I will get the glaive for myself from it. He goes back to his castle. It doesn't go correctly. He tries this ritual, and he tries to gain the intelligence of his one friend and the courage of his other, but instead, all three of them combine in this huge, giant, multi-headed giant that is not as intelligent as any of them is now, but triply wicked. And now it's this shambling around thing that just wants to destroy absolutely everything. So if the crow is successful and brings the adventurers to the dying man, he tells them the location of the glaive. It's in his hidden in his meditation cave, but you have to go up this path, and that's where the demon-possessed ravine attacks you. So it's just a demon, there's a ravine there, it's just attacked, this demon is just stuck to it. I'm so dry and I'm out of water here. Sorry.
that's okay. Hydrate.
After a day. So sorry. So the face follows you up and down around the ravine, going on underneath you on the ground, up and down the walls, biting at you and snatching at you with its tentacles. But if you can defeat it, you can make your way to that cavern and find the actual glaive. The thing is, whoever grabs it knows the day they're going to die. And that's a day the GM can just pick at some point in their career. So he's cursed. But if they get it, they can take the glaive back to the castle where the wicked king lives. As soon as they go inside the pit trap, boom. And then it's just like it says, poison spikes. I figure why mess with a classic? It's poison spikes, for God's sakes. But if they get past that, they find that the entire kingdom is filled with these creatures that have been affected by this ritual, people that have been combined with like a bunch of different things. So like, here's the guardsman combined with a dog, combined to a bystander. And the three of them come at you just like insane and attacking. The whole castle is full of that. People are combined with bizarre things like the last thing they were eating. So you see a person who's half steak and he's just freaking out and coming at you. But if you get through all of them, and this is the whole castle fight. That's the dungeon is getting to this castle full of things. Also, if you get through it, you can get to the final room where there is a giant three-headed wicked king now. He's actually a composite being with these two other things attached. And but if you're clever and you use the glaive just right, I always write in Dungeon Crawl Classics these days. So if you use a mighty deed or the proper spell or a divine aid, you can actually separate the three of them. And then that will actually sort of save the day. Or, it's the glaive, you can do ridiculous crap and you can just kill it.
I like the separation. That's awesome.
But if you do that right, that's luck points. If you do that right, that's like bonus. You get the heavens shine down upon you for doing, something really amazing. You didn't just destroy evil, you reverted it back and got it back in, to its original components.
But I'm here for the ridiculous crap. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you. You know what I'm saying? And then at the end, and also if you do that, any remaining survivor, combined people that were throughout the castle automatically become uncombined, and they're like, back to their former selves. And then the glaive flies off into the night sky on its way to its next adventure, which might show up in another one shot at some point. Maybe one of yours.
That's great. That's great. Well done.
Oh, it's so great.
Here's a question for all three of you. Is the pit trap with spikes, is that like classic, or do you think that's overused?
Classic.
If you go by the rules of the game, okay, underneath the picture of the pit trap, it says 53 poison spikes lurk beneath pit trap. I figured that's part of the game, is including that. So the poison spikes leak beneath the, that's there. Don't get them or you will be poisoned and maybe die.
I love it. Amazing. Thank you, everybody. There's like the full gambit there. I think you could definitely see the DCC influence, Brendan. I think for sure.
Absolutely.
I think for sure. Yeah, very good. Amazing. I want to thank all our guests for coming out tonight and sharing those with us. If you're in chat, feel free to steal these ideas and use them in your own game, of course. And I am certainly going to be taking a couple of them. And yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yep.
I think we're back in 2 weeks.
You don't seem
And
sure.
again, yeah, I'm not sure. Lining up guests can be tricky.
Yeah.
So, but I think we do have guests lined up for our 2 weeks. So once again, thank you, Todd Stashwick. Guys, check out Nerd Circus, the
Nerd Circus.
thenerdcircus.com.
I got dice. I got dice boxes. I got fun Mai Tai glasses.
There's tiki glasses, right?
Well, they're Mai Tai glasses.
Okay, well that'll work.
That's close
Hey,
enough.
Yeah, with nerdy stuff on them.
And your book.
And my son did the illustration. And my
Oh.
book. And for all you since this is Old Men Rolling Dice,
Yes.
when I was a kid, I used to play D&D in wood panel basements
Yes.
with orange shag carpet.
No way.
Oh my
Oh
god.
So
my
I made a dice box that is wood, wood panel with orange shag carpet.
Nice.
And
I just have to say, it's
has a rolling
2022 and I've got wood paneling.
Oh, nice.
Just saying.
yeah. And so this whole dice box, and when we used to collect stuff, our minis and our dice, it was always in a cigar box. So the idea was to make it cigar box size,
Yeah.
because
That's
that's what we
awesome.
rolled in, and then we would
Cigar
keep our
boxes
dice in a Crown Royal bag. So the dice that I sell are in a purple bag to tribute Crown Royal. That's all I got.
That's amazing.
Amazing. Andrew, thank you. And everybody go and check out Andrew's Kickstarter. It's not done yet, right?
Yeah, we're
Like-
only halfway. We're almost 80% funded, and
Oh, good.
Monsters
I'll
of
jump in.
Phelan 2.
Nice.
Yeah.
And check that out. As I said, head over to probably Instagram. There's a link in your bio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So head over to Instagram and look up Kwood. It's spelled CAWOOD. Kwood on Instagram.
Twitter as
And
well.
yeah, for sure. And Brendan, thank you. I don't have anything to plug for you, my man. Excellent.
Don't you? How about the Original Adventures Reincarnated #7 Kickstarter going on right now?
Oh, yes,
the
of
new
course.
Oh my.
Yeah, Sons of Set. It's gonna be amazing. So
Ooh.
Yeah, and there was lots
I'll
of
be
talk.
there.
some art. Yeah, there's another. It's well over its goal by now, and with 19 days to go, they're unlocking all kinds of cool stretch goals. So it's gonna be a really amazing project.
And just before we streamed, they were streaming and they released a whole bunch of new stretch goals that had been added. So that can be checked out. And we all talked about how we liked Goodman Games redos of
Thank you.
They're amazing.
the
Love 'em.
Thank you so much.
I'm coming up
Yeah, I
blank all
love
of a
'em.
sudden. Isle of Dread, Caves of Chaos. Yeah.
One of the
From
first things that I
Borderlands.
did at the start of the pandemic 2 years ago was call some old buddies that I played with in the 80s, and we just opened Keep on the Borderlands, your book, and just started it. And I did the classic, like, I'm not going to prep this. I'm literally going to read it.
That's awesome.
Like, I'm just going to go through it the way we did when I was 12.
Is
It
that
was
not the
amazing.
origin
Good man.
of Briark?
Top man.
Yeah.
Briark, the Goblin war cry, Briark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. That should have been the
So
name of our
fun.
podcast, not Old Man Rolling Dice.
Briark?
Briark, yeah, Briark.
Well, I mean,
maybe
it would be named after me. I'm just saying.
Bree Yark. Yes, yes, absolutely.
I'm Bree and I'm the Yark. Here's our podcast.
So we'll we will leave it there. Thank you again, everybody. Guests, if you just want to stick around Zoom just for a second so we can thank you even more. Everybody that tuned in and checked us out, thank you. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another
2
Prep
weeks.
or Die.
Yeah, and come see our own channels where we do lots of other stuff that's pretty
Hey,
cool.
plug that
I'm just
too.
putting it
And
out
if you're,
there.
can I plug to? I'm at MomoCon tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you're in range to Atlanta, I'll be running games all weekend at MomoCon, and love to see you there. Come by, swing by the booth.
I will not be at
And
MomoCon, but
if-
you owe me a game.
If you're watching Black Dice Society tomorrow, I will be playing Van Richten in their in their Strahd campaign tomorrow night.
Ooh.
Really?
I'm running a Domains of Dread campaign. I'm just saying.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Can we go now, Affy?
Thanks,
Yeah,
Jeremy.
we can
Thanks,
leave now
Nappy.
before I start like fangirling over here. Bye.
Okay.